As I said earlier, this month during our regular worship services, we have lifted the faith traditions of our faith, those that we call our sources. And during this season, it's very clear how many traditions share common themes: darkness and returning light, rest and renewal, endings and beginnings. Because of the culture that we live in, we often distill and generalize these traditions so that many earth-based tradition practices seem to blend together. But each tradition has its own shape, its own lineage, and its own meaning. So this morning I share just one pagan story, an ancient story that reflects the turning of a year, a Greek tale of Kore. Many of you might know Kore as Persephone, the daughter of Demeter or Demeter, depending on where you live in this country, and eventually the queen of the underworld. In the older tellings, Hades, impatient and determined, abducts Kore and takes her below. Demeter, goddess of grain, fertility, and the very cycle of the seasons, is devastated. In her grief, she withdraws her blessings from the earth. The days go cold, and the light fades, the plants wither, and the world becomes barren. Eventually, Zeus intervenes and works out kind of a custody agreement. Kore will spend 6 months on the earth with her mother and 6 months below with Hades. And this, the Greeks said, is why the seasons turn, why winter descends, and why spring returns. I share this story because it reminds us that every culture has its own way of understanding the elemental rhythms of the world. Winter is not simply this meteorological event, it's a spiritual and emotional season as well. And in this cultural moment, we're beginning to move into deeper understanding of multiculturalism, especially as it's under attack. But we, as UUs, have been shifting away from assimilation for quite some time. We've shifted away from the old idea of melting pot toward recognition and appreciation for the fullness of our differences. Less melting pot, more tapestry. A weaving in which we each bring our authentic self and our shared experiences. Now that shift also changes our language. The term pagan, for example, has been broadly used and inaccurately used to describe indigenous peoples and non-Christian practices around the world. And because UU communities openly welcome many spiritual paths beyond Trinitarian Christianity, we are sometimes misunderstood and even criticized for that openness. But blanket identities are real problems. They erase nuance. They flatten entire traditions. And sometimes we begin to believe that we don't need to know much about each other's beliefs to worship together. But I like to challenge that, and I want to challenge that today. Are we truly welcoming and supportive as a community if we don't know where each of us finds our source of hope? Some among us are very open about our spiritual identities. Others are still exploring and deepening and rediscovering long dormant threads of meaning. But if you never share these pieces of yourself with one another, how can we truly know each other? Who are you, and who's your truest self? What do you believe? What questions are you living into? So one identity that often gets lost in our lack of shared understanding is that of UU pagan. It's not intentional, but pagan practices are often grouped together, shaped more by media stereotypes than the real community or knowledge. With shows like Charmed, both the old version and new, many people think they know what paganism is or that all pagans are Wiccans, specifically Gardnerian witchcraft Wiccans. So I would like to remind you, maybe again, or teach you for the first time. All Wiccans are pagan, but not all pagans are Wiccan. I'll say it again. All Wiccans are pagan, but not all pagans are Wiccan. Hold that truth gently. Just as we remember that there is no one way for Judaism, to be Muslim, to be Hindu, to be Christian, humanist, or atheist. There's no one way to be pagan. Another evolving understanding is that all pagans are earth-based, but not all earth-based traditions are pagan. Our language keeps shifting as our understanding deepens, even historically. I hope you know, but maybe you don't, that the meaning of pagan has changed dramatically. In the late Roman Empire, the Abrahamic faiths, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, were considered pagan because Rome had its own pantheons of god and goddesses that were the law. So the fact that Christians and Jews and Muslims all saw it this way made them alter what the law was. Their language was fluid, and therefore they became the pagans, the heretics. We grow and we learn. Culture shifts us. In early America, we told ourselves the story of the melting pot, that we could all share one identity. But our ancestors lost and surrendered so much in that process. Some gave up cultural practices for safety. Others folded their identity into whatever business or niche they were allowed to inhabit. And now many of us are breaking open that melting pot, searching for our own cultural inheritance and celebrating diversity around us. Of course, we've lost some traditions. Others we are rediscovering only through little fragments, artifacts and stories and scraps of memory. Do you have a memory of an elder that always did something a certain way that you never asked why? Midwinter traditions across the world give us a glimpse at a vast diversity, where maybe we can take those stories that might be on the verge of being lost and reclaim our cultures. You see, in China, ancient emperors once performed a secret midwinter ritual whose details are largely lost. But today, many still treat the solstice as a day of family gathering. They feast and they honor their ancestors. In Iran, the longest night is celebrated as Yalda. It's an Indo-Iranian root frame that the night as a struggle between light and darkness. Families stay awake all night. They tell stories. They recite poetry. They eat special fruits. And they keep vigil until the sun returns. In Japan, the solstice is Soji, a time of rest and ceremony. Bonfires are lit, some on Mount Fuji itself, to welcome back the rising sun, that emblem that they use for their flag, the national symbol of the sun. In Mexico, Las Posadas unfolds over 9 nights as pilgrims walk through neighborhoods seeking posada, or shelter. It retells the story of Mary and Joseph searching for a place to rest. It's a celebration of renewal and hospitality and sacred light. Now, none of these are pagan in the way the word is commonly used. They are honoring their own faith traditions. They honor the solstice and the midwinter turning in their own particular way. Within paganism, Yule is a sacred time. Many pagans celebrate the rebirth of the sun, the turning of the wheel of the year, though not all pagans honor it in the same way. We must remember that those that are south of the equator, in this moment, it is not midwinter, it is midsummer. Our seasons are opposite, and it reminds us again that the world is wildly varied. Across all these traditions, no matter how we mark these moments, winter brings its unmistakable gifts. The gift of quiet reflection, the gift of a stillness, the invitation to turn inward. We might not love winter's cold, I know I don't, or its long nights. They can be hard. We might find ourselves wishing for summer and the summer's sun and heat. Winter does bring its challenges, but it also brings possibility, a deep rest of clarity, of listening closely to our lives. So let us celebrate the gifts of this season. Let us tell our stories to one another, to the children, to your closest friends, to all those gathered here. These stories are the greatest gifts we actually can receive and give. May we each have the opportunity to gather at the heart and hearth of community and share all that we might remember. May it be so, and blessed be.